The Madman!
So welcome to an arena card review. These cards are coming out with the Taverns of Time special event, which begins June 11 and ends July 2nd. So for just under a month, you're gonna see these 28 special cards in the arena. Starting with the Druid Flash Forward. 3 mana, each player gains 2 mana crystals and draws 2 cards. So it is like Cold Light Oracle, but Cold Light Oracle came with the 2/2. You gain 2 mana crystals also, and you're the first one who is able to spend these mana crystals, since you do get them immediately, not empty. Better for the decks that are trying to go big, I suppose. But still, it's a symmetric effect, and usually in Arena, your opponent will have like a comparably big deck also. 1 star. Pretty much as bad as Cold Light Oracle was. Harbinger of Catastrophe. At the start of your turn, summon the highest cost minion from each player's deck. And it's a 6 mana 6/7, and 6 mana 6/7 is already pretty decent in Arena. This card is kind of a build around card. When you draft this card, you're really going to want to put high cost good minions in your deck. And Druids are pretty good at doing that. So I'm going to rate this a 4-star card. Almost 5, I'd say. It kind of varies from 4 to 5 depending on how early in the deck you get it. Because if you get it early enough, then you can build your deck around this card a little bit more. And because this card exists, when you're just drafting Druid in general, if there's a big card and there's a small card, and you're like early on in the draft, you might pick the big card over the small card because Harbinger of Catastrophe might be coming. Chrono Shot! For Hunter, 3 mana, return an enemy minion to your opponent's hand, it costs 2 more. So basically targeted Freezing Trap, or it's a sap which has a 2 mana tax on the opponent. If you return something which is 9 or 10 cost, then it basically kills them. It's really good, and I'm gonna rate it 5 stars. Freezing Trap is already good, sap is already good, hunters are aggressive, so a targeted thing on their card is really good. Hunter also gets Infinite Wolf, 4 mana 5/5 rush. After this attack, shuffle it into your deck and give future Infinite Wolves +2/+2. So it's 4 mana, deal 5 damage in the worst case to a minion. But there's a big upside, which is if this card survives combat, then it gets shuffled into your deck. And later on, it's like a 4 mana, deal 7 damage to a minion. And at that point, hopefully your minion will survive combat and then you can shuffle back in your deck and it's like 4 mana, deal 9. If you have multiple Infinite Wolves, then the first Infinite Wolf you play gives your other Infinite Wolves, it just makes them even better. Card's really good, just remember that 4 mana, deal 5 to a minion is already good. So anything on top of that is just gravy. So 5 stars. And while it can only go attack minions, in theory you could also play Infinite Wolf and not attack a minion, and then the next turn you can just attack with Infinite Wolf to the face, if you think that's the right play. Cavern Dreamer. For Mage, 2 mana, 1/3. At the end of your turn, add a random spell that costs 2 or less to your hand. Random spell means any spell, not just from your class. Ridiculous! This gets my 6-star rating, as I see this as the Imba OPOP card. So the comparison card to do here is Mana Tide Totem. It adds you cheap spells that you could use to perhaps keep the board control and protect your Cavern Dreamer. If you coin this out, like I can't really imagine the opponent dealing with it. You'd have to have a 2 mana 3/2 to deal with it. Maybe you have an answer and then you draw another card off of it. It's absolutely insane. Consider the Past. For 4 mana, add 3 random spells from the past to your hand. Can be any card. A little bit of brief research told me that spells in the past across all classes are fairly comparable to spells these days. You have some losers, you have some winners, you have some high rolls, you have some low rolls. But the card to compare this with is Cabalist's Tome. It's a 1 mana discount on Cabalist's Tome. Seems good. I'll rate it 4 stars. Really super good late game value card. Blessing of Aeons for Paladin. 1 mana, give a minion. At the end of your turn, gain +1/+1. I think that the card is too small an effect on a card to like warrant its 1 mana. So I'll give this a 1 star. You could get a 1-man Wrecking Crew, but because you need both cards early, it's just not good enough. It doesn't do anything the turn you play it because the minion doesn't get instantly buffed. Bronze Broodmother. 5 mana, 5/5. When you draw this, summon a 1/1 Rewhelp. I actually feel like this might be advanced testing for a future mechanic of when you draw this. We already saw it with Flame Leviathan before. So they've had it before, and cards that do something when you draw, I think those are pretty cool. So, in the worst case, it's a 5 mana 6/6, which makes it very good already. But we're just looking at the worst case here. In the best case, you draw this on turn 1 and you start off with an extra 1/1 and snowballs from there. In the other best case is you draw it early and instead of playing a 5 mana 5/5, you just play another different card that's better than a 5 mana 5/5, like 5 mana 5/6 or something. You don't have to play the Bronze Broodmother on turn 5, in which case, you've got like a 5/6 and a 1/1 on turn 5, if you happen to draw it on turn 5. So, really, really good card, 5 stars. Note doesn't count when you get it in your opening hand, just like Flame Leviathan. Reminisce. Priest 2 mana, add 2 random cards your opponent played this game to your hand. So the downside is you can get the coin, but the upside is it's 2 mana, draw 2. I'm gonna rate it 4 stars. I think it's close to 5. Weaker than 5 just because it can grab the coin and you can't play it on turn 2. But yeah, 2 draw 2 is really good. Ripple in Time. 1 mana, discover a minion. If you play it this turn, it has Echo. So that's generally fair because most Echo minions are overcosted by 1. But with Ripple in Time, you can get some really insane results, like discovering Wisp or Penguin or Half Eagle. In general though, you want to play this later on, in which case you could even just discover a big minion. Sometimes that's good, like Lich King comes up, alright fine, you lose the Echo effect, you just play the Lich King and you're pretty happy with your 9 mana Lich King. This one's also close between 4 and 5 stars. I'm gonna rate it 4 stars. There's some variants, sometimes you don't discover great minions. Dejavu, or Rogue. 1 mana, discover a copy of a spell you played this game. So it's one of those low cost cards that you can't play early. Would be insane and constructed, but this is Arena. So it's like a 1 mana tax on all the good spells you've played, if you've played any good spells. And 1 mana extra on the good spells you've played tend to make them like less good. I'm gonna rate it 2 stars. Thief of Futures. 4 mana 4/3 Battlecry, add a copy of the top card of your opponent's deck to your hand. That's a really efficient card. It's 4 mana 4/3, which doesn't lose you a card. Very comparable to Shifting Shade, and probably very comparable to Blink Fox, which is 3 mana 3/3. I think it's worse than Blink Fox because 1 more mana for 1 more attack tends to be a bad deal. But Blink Fox is insane, so Thief of Futures, it's okay to be a bit worse than Blink Fox. 4 stars. But this card is really good when you play it directly after one of the neutral cards, which add a card to the top of your deck generally. There's a little bit of information bonus in that you get to know the card that the opponent is just about to draw, but information isn't that big a deal generally. Master of Realities, 6 mana 5/7 Shaman card. After you summon a minion, transform it into a random minion that costs 2 more. Important to realize it's after you summon, so 6 mana 5/7 is not too bad a stat line, but something as easy as just playing this on 6 and then summoning a totem, and then you get a 6 mana 5/7, and for just your hero power you got a 3/3, and then in the future you still get everything increased by 2, which is just good. What's a really insane combo is to go 6 mana Master of Realities into Serenite Chain Gang, your favorite How Long Can This Go On card. And if you do that, you have 3 6 drops for 10. That's pretty good. So, 5 stars. Stasis Elemental, 4 mana 3/5. Battlecry, freeze a minion until this leaves the battlefield. It's very similar to Moat Lurker, which is a 6 mana 3/3. This is 2 mana less than Moat Lurker, and has 2 more health than Moat Lurker. So, seems really good. 5 stars. Grasp the Future for Warlock. 4 mana, draw 2 cards, they cost 2 less. So given that your 2 cards cost 2 less, one could view this as 0 mana, draw 2 cards. Kind of. 5 stars. This card would break Constructed if it were to be in Constructed. Rift Warden. 7 mana 5/5 Battlecry, discard a random minion, Death Rattle, summon it. So, in the best case, you discard a big minion, and then the Rift Warden gets to activate it afterwards when it does. Not too bad. In the worst case, though, your Rift Warden gets silenced, or even worse, hexed, polymorphed, sapped. So because of the vulnerabilities, I'll give it a 2 star. But the dream is to discard Void Lord to it, and then your Void Lord pops out after your Rift Warden is dead. Bad news is your opponent will know that there's a big card under there, and will be able to react appropriately to your Rift Warden. For Warrior, they get Draconic Herald, 6 mana 5/6, Battlecry, discover a minion, give it +3/+3, then put it on the top of your deck. So the card that I found myself comparing this to is Don Honcho. It's a 1 mana discount on Don Honcho, and Don Honcho was a decent card in Arena. This one means your hand buff always works because unlike top decking Don Honcho, where sometimes you don't have a minion, you always get a minion buff, and you get your choice. Probably a little bit better choice on what the buff goes on than Don Honcho. So I'm gonna rate it 5 stars. This is one of those cards that Thief of Future wants to steal, by the way. And finally, for Warrior, we have Fate Cleaver, 4 mana 4/2 weapon. After this, kills a minion, destroy all copies of it wherever they are. Be they be in your opponent's deck, or also on the field, or on your side of the field, or in your deck. So 4 mana 4/2 weapon is already pretty good, and I think in general it's going to be valued as a 4 mana 4/2 weapon. And sometimes it just has a cool side effect, like it's really good against Serenite Chain Gang. So I'm going to rate it a 4 star. The neutral cards, beginning with Infinite Merlok. 1 mana 1/1, Battlecry, shuffle an Infinite Merlok into your deck. Your future Infinite Merlok get +1/+1. So it's like you cast both the Jade Idol of Summon a Jade and shuffle a Jade into your hand, into your deck, but unfortunately it doesn't trigger off of other Jades. So for that reason it's a 1 star. Enjoy playing your 1 mana 1/1. It's really bad. Temporal Anomaly. 2 mana 2/2, when you draw this, add a random spell to your hand. So that's really good. It's a 2 mana 2/2 which gives you a card, but even better than that, because you don't actually have to play this card in order to get a card. It's kind of like Shimmering Tempest, and it looks like Shimmering Tempest too since it's blue from Mage, and they played that. It was just a 2 mana 2/1 elemental. This one, you get the spell and you don't even have to play this card, you just play this whenever you want. If your best play is 2 mana 2/2, then sure, but you could also play 2 mana 3/2 instead if you have that in your hand, or 2 mana 2/3. So 5 stars. Timeline Witness. 3 mana 2/4, instead of drawing your normal card each turn, discover a card from your deck. So it's pretty powerful of an effect. The only downside is it's only got 4 health, but it's only 3 mana. So I think it's good enough to push it into a 5-star card. It's either 4 or 5, I'm rounding this one up to 5. Chromie, 4 mana 4/4, Battlecry, shuffle 4 historical epics into your deck. Battle for Mount Hyjal, give your minions +2/+2, cast this one, draw and draw a card, so basically the epic plays itself when you draw it, and then you just get your normal card draw after. Culling of Stratholme, deal 2 damage to all enemies. Escape from Durnhold, add 2 random spells to your hand. Opening the Dark Portal, add 2 random legendary minions to your hand. I compared this card with Faldora Strider, which shuffles 3 4/4s into your hand, and I looked at these. You get 1 more. The effects are relatively close to the 4/4 effect. Given that Chromie can be put into any class, not sure if it's 4 to 5 stars. Faldora Strider is like also somewhere between 4 to 5. I'll round Chromie up to 5 star, and in classes that can draw more cards, Chromie is quite a bit better. So in Warlock, Chromie is really good, and especially Possibility Seeker, 4 mana 4/5. Battlecry, shuffle your hand into your deck, draw that many cards. So got the Yeti stats. Yeti is already a 4-star card, and this will, I'd say this is a positive on the Yeti, because you could throw away a bad card like Coin and replace it with a card. In the late game, you could hold on to your low cards and then play the Possibility Seeker and then draw a bunch of cards after. So I'll rate this a 5-star card. I think it is right to play this on 4 if you don't have anything on 4, and then just accept your random hand afterwards as well. Wildlands Adventurer, 5 mana 5/5, Battlecry, add a random card from the Hall of Fame to your hand. So Hall of Fame includes winners like Sylvanas and Ragnaros. Those are the high rolls. It also has some losers in Arena, which is Ice Block. Yes, that card isn't good in Arena. And a card like Ice Lance. Anyways, a 5 mana 5/5 with a draw card effect, even if the card isn't very good, is a good card. So this is a 5-star card. There's some serious high rolls you can get with Wildlands Adventure. Timeway Wanderer, 5 mana 6/3, Battlecry, discover a spell, reduce its cost by 5, then put it to the top of your deck. If you actually manage to reduce the cost of a decent card by 5, it's absolutely insane. It's similar to casting a 0 mana 6/3 then. If you are just reducing on average, I don't know, like maybe a spell by 3 mana, just because you don't always get a big mana cost card, then it's like a 2 mana 6/3 with a delayed payoff, and that's pretty decent too. So 5-star. Stasis Dragon, 6 mana 10/10. Starts dormant, this awakens with rush after 2 turns. While it's dormant, it cannot be interacted with, similar to the darkness. So the thing to realize on why this card doesn't suck is all cards in Hearthstone, for the most part, don't do anything the turn that you summon it. So this is only sleeping for something like 1 turn since it has rush. Is it okay to spend 6 mana on a card that doesn't do anything the turn after if you're just willing to wait 1 turn? I think it is. I'm gonna rate this card a 4-star. It's just a lot of stats, and yes, you have to wait 1 turn, but I think for the payoff it's worth it. Murazond, 7 mana 6/6. Battle Cry, from now on your turns are 15 seconds and you draw 2 extra cards. Battle Cry, by the way, which means forever. So absolutely insane if you don't consider your turns are 15 seconds to be a drawback. It's a 7 mana 6/6 where every single turn from there on out you're drawing 2 extra cards. It's Aluneth, except for 1 more mana you're getting a 6/6 and you just draw 1 fewer card, which is completely okay since you tend to draw way too many cards with Aluneth anyways. So rest in peace mobile players, because I think this card is absolutely insane. This is like a 6-star card, because the drawback of your turns are 15 seconds is arguably not too much of a drawback. Card is incredibly insane. So make sure to think hard on your opponent's turn. Hopefully your opponent plays it slow so that you have a lot of time to think about your turn. But the power level of this card is off the charts. Last but not least, we have Time-Bound Giant. 15 mana 8/8, costs 1 less for each card you've drawn. So on turn 7, in the worst case, where you just draw a card each turn, you've drawn 7 cards. So that would just be a 8 mana 8/8 on turn 7. So therefore I think we can establish that this card is at worst an 8 mana 8/8, which isn't bad at all. And that's in the worst case. If you even draw 1 card before then, you can just play a 7 mana 8/8. So it's really good in Warlock, and in every other class, if you can just manage to draw a few cards, it's way better. It's a really excellent top deck because it's just a big card at the end game, which could potentially cost very little amounts of mana. I'm gonna rate this a 5-star card with a special shout out to classes that can draw extra cards. It's especially good there. So there you have it. Clearly the cards that are coming out in Arena have been purposely pushed in power level, so you see a bunch of them and they're gonna really shake things up. I look forward to hopefully getting a bunch of these. I look forward to Murazond and being able to show the world that with the sheer amount of power that the card provides, 15-second turns are enough.